guys, so my last video I told you guys about the 10 things that I really miss about Asia since I've moved back to the US for the time being. And now I'm going to share with you the 10 things that I don't really miss. I mean, as in a whole, the pros outweigh the cons, but there are definitely some things that now that I'm back, I don't mind saying goodbye to. Now, I've lived in Asia for over 5 years of my life, and I've traveled all over it, so these are pretty much general things that I've witnessed in most of my travels around Asia. Obviously, I hope that none of these things bother you guys, they're just my personal experience, but yeah, I'm not really a fan. So, here we go. The first thing that I don't miss is trying to cross the street. Oh my gosh, whether you're talking about just the sheer mass of people trying to cross the street at once and you're like bumping elbows, or you're talking about the cars and the motorbikes that are going to run you down. It's very, very stressful. And I mean, they do have things like crosswalks, but a lot of people don't use them, or the cars don't really care. So for the most part, you just kind of have to walk out in traffic and put your hand out and hope that you survive. So I appreciate kind of how the pedestrian has the right of way over here in America. Next thing that I do not miss is sweating at all times from every orifice of your body. You sweat in places that you didn't know you could sweat. You didn't even know you had, and there's sweat there. And it basically ruins all of your clothing. And it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, you're always sweating. And it is so gross. You smell, everybody smells. I mean, it's just kind of something that you get used to, and you know, nobody's like, oh my gosh, look at those sweat stains, because you're like, hey, got them too, brother. Next one is, I'm not gonna miss having to worry about the water, because obviously in pretty much all Asian countries you can't drink the water out of the tap. And I mean, that goes for just like washing vegetables, or I mean, some people, I know you probably could boil the water, but I would pretty much use filtered water even for that, just because you really don't want to get all the sickness that you can get from that water. And then on top of that, the water situation in Indonesia, I had no hot water whatsoever for the entire time that I lived there. So that means no hot showers. That sucks. And I do not miss that. You might think like, Indonesia's hot. Yeah, because you're sweating all the time. But no, a cold shower sucks no matter what. And I do not miss that. I like my hot showers. The next thing that I'm not gonna miss are public bathrooms. I don't know what it is, but they're always disgusting. They're really gross. There's either, I mean, obviously I don't know about the men's bathrooms. They might be pristine, but I kind of doubt it. But the women's bathrooms, there's always pee on the floor. And if it's not pee, there's at least water from bum guns, which would also be mixed with pee, but I hate bum guns. Some people love them, I hate them. But anyway, the floor is always wet. And then 95% of the time, there's gonna be footprints on the seat, because even though there are signs telling you how to use a thrown Western toilet, a lot of people who have been raised using the squatty potties, they don't know how to use it, so they put their feet up on the seat and they squat down. So you can't sit down, you have to like hover, because there are footprints on the seat, and it's so annoying. Next one is something that I have just experienced as a teacher, so if you're just going into Asia to travel, you might not experience this that much, but so many of my students, they're these beautiful children, and I just adore them, but they don't brush their teeth at all, and it's disgusting. I would have these amazingly wonderful little students in Hong Kong that are like 4 or 5 years old, and they're beautiful, and they're just, I love them, and then they would smile, and they would have literal like black stumps for their teeth. I kid you not. And I asked some of my local friends, and a lot of them said that the parents seem to think that you don't have to brush your child's teeth because they're going to lose their teeth and then adult teeth grow in, which yes, that's true, but you have to brush your teeth for like gum health and oral health just in general. And it was so gross, and it made the kids smell, and blah, 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 blah. It just makes me just thinking about it. Next thing is, of course, this is not exclusive to Asia, but I never hated these things until I moved to Asia, and that is ants. Ants are just the worst. I hate them. Leave the smallest crumb of something, and then 1,000 ants would be there 5 seconds later, and I'm not even joking. They're just everywhere. I mean, if ants decided to revolt against humans, we have no chance. So, but they're just so awful. I hate them. This next one is probably the thing that I don't miss the most. Yeah. Sorry, I had to think about that. Don't miss the most. Is just the general treatment of animals in Asia. Of course, this is a huge generalization. There are plenty of people there who love animals and take wonderful care of them, but as a whole, animal rights really isn't a thing, and that's the whole reason why I really wanted to bring my cat back to America, because I couldn't find someone that I was really willing to trust with her that would take care of her the way that I would want her to be taken care of, because in America, your pet is like your family. They're your baby, or they're your sister, or whatever. But in Asia, it's not really like that. And I know, there are a lot of headlines about mistreatment of animals in China, like the dog festival, or the mistreatment of elephants in Thailand, and blah, 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 blah. And that's all true and all heartbreaking, but it's also just like day to day. There are strays everywhere, and animals just aren't cherished the way they should be. And to be honest, how I saw animals treated in Indonesia is 90% of the reason why I went vegetarian. Next one is, speaking of vegetarianism, I am not going to miss how few options there are to eat as a vegetarian. Obviously, that really depends on the location that you're in. I mean, if you're in somewhere like Bali or India where there is a large vegetarian population, you're gonna have awesome options, like some of the best food in the world. But as a whole, meat is just, going back to the animals aren't treated that well, meat is just meat. Everybody eats meat, doesn't matter. And it's just very few options as a vegetarian. I mean, I remember at one point I was ordering fried rice and it had chicken in it, so I was like, can I get it without chicken because I'm a vegetarian? And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. They brought it to me with shrimp in it instead. This is meat. I know this, I can't eat, it's an animal. Like, it's just not a mindset that they have. Most of the waiters that I would ask for stuff without meat, they would look at me really funny. And now that I'm back in the States, it's been much, much easier to find yummy options without meat. Number 9 is that there's just rubbish everywhere. And obviously it does depend on the country. I mean, if you go to Singapore, you're not gonna see rubbish anywhere. But in general, especially in Southeast Asia and up into China, there's just like trash on the side of the road everywhere. It's in rivers, and it's gross. Like, when you see the mistreatment of animals, that's sad, but this is like the mistreatment of the earth, and that's really sad too. And like the hot sun just cooks this garbage, and then it smells awful. It's just, I don't understand why it happens, to be honest. Now that I'm back in America, I see all those like, don't litter or you'll get a $5,000 fine, because then people don't really litter. Number 10, the final one, is one that I was very, very happy to say goodbye to, and that is, and this was very specific to Indonesia when I was living there, but that is kind of the Indonesian deadline mindset. Indonesia is an island nation, and so they very much kind of have that island life vibe, which I love in some ways because I'm a pretty chill, laid-back person. I don't really like to stress or worry about things. But when you have a deadline, it's so frustrating. Oh my gosh. And that's the whole reason why I had to postpone my PCT trip, because I was working with a vet who never did any of the paperwork because she just kind of forgot or something, or just never did it. So 2 weeks before I left, she was like, oh, I didn't do that, and that takes 4 weeks. Whoops. And like, no, we had a deadline. I told you about this. I bugged you. I texted you. It's a whole nother story. Sorry. Still not over that. But anyway, it's really frustrating when you have a deadline that you have to get stuff done before that, and I'm really relatively organized, I think. But when like the government or whoever you're working with doesn't care or doesn't do anything, then it's out of your hands, and it's so frustrating. Well, there you go. Those are my 10 things that I don't really miss about Asia. Obviously, again, these are just my experience and my opinions, so I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about those, or if you have any things that you weren't really a fan of, or some things that you were a fan of. If you want to see my first video of the 10 things that I do miss about Asia, I will link that in the description bar below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, please. I have some really, really exciting videos coming out down the line, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Bye.